Good morning. I am Senator Chip Curry, and I will be presiding over the work session of the Joint Standing Committee on the Innovation Development, Economic Advancement, and Business. The purpose of this meeting is for the committee to receive information from staff and others in order for members to consider the legislative proposals before us and to make recommendations and reports to the legislature. Only committee members and the committee analyst and those specifically invited to attend will be participating in the work session using Zoom. For members of the public wishing to observe this meeting, it is being live streamed on the committee's YouTube channel and will also be recorded for viewing after this meeting is concluded. We're also broadcasting this audio on the audio of the meeting on the legislature's website, www.legislature.maine.gov. A few announcements regarding the video and audio streaming. The YouTube live stream of this meeting, which is accessible to the public, begins at the scheduled time and for the work session, and will remain on until the end of the work day. If your video or audio is on, even if the committee is not in active session or is on a break, the public can see and hear you. Please remember to mute your microphone when you're not speaking, as always. And at this point, I'm just checking. It looks like we've all gotten the honorifics or the titles there, so people know how to address us. So if we have any guests, if you could and have any titles with your name as well, please feel free to put that up. This is a public meeting, and I must remind you that while we are meeting, discussion must happen on screen and not by way of the Zoom chat. You may use the chat to request to speak or to send a note to our clerk, who will introduce in just a moment, if you're having any technical issues. Members will speak at leave of the chair. See if there's any other notes we have to make sure we talk about here. And materials will be provided electronically. I believe everyone we've started to get that all down. Where the committee materials are located. You can find that by going to the committee website and selecting committee materials and look by LD. We have this wonderful new square as part of the Brady Bunch box, which has the bills that are scheduled for today. And with that, I will ask the members to introduce themselves, and we'll virtually go around the horseshoe.
Good morning. Thank you, Senator Curry. This is Valley Geiger, representative of District 93, Rockland and Owl's Head.
Representative John Andrews, District Western Maine.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Pebworth. I represent House District 133 in the Blue Hill Peninsula.
Good morning. I'm Representative Amanda Collmore. I represent House District 106, Pittsfield, Clinton, and Detroit.
Good morning. I'm Louis Lucchini. I represent most of Hancock County in the Senate.
Good morning. I'm Senator Scott Searway, and I represent District 16, which covers Waterville, Winslow, Fairfield, Benton, Albion, Clinton, and Unity Township.
Good morning, Representative Jack Ducharme. I represent House District 111, which is Madison, Norridgewock, and Solon.
Representative Tavis Hassenfuss. I represent House District 81, which is Winthrop, Reedfield, and North Monmouth.
Representative Kyle Bailey, House District 27, a part of Gorham and a small part of North Scarborough.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sue Bernard, and welcome to my world in Aroostook County. I represent Caribou, Westmanland, and Sweden.
Good morning. I'm Representative Tiffany Roberts, your House Chair, representing House District 6, which is the majority of North Berwick and South Berwick.
And good morning again. I'm Senator Chip Curry, and I represent the 26 rural, coastal, and island communities of Waldo County. And I am participating here via Zoom in my home in Belfast. Welcome, everybody. Let's see, I'm pulling up today's calendar. We're going to start with a slightly awkward start today. We have a scheduled ASL interpreter who will be joining us at 10 o'clock. So we are going to start with our committee caucuses, and we will break until 10 o'clock when the interpreter will be scheduled to be joining us. So at this point, we're going to break. Our plan is to start with LD 18. So if members could feel free to turn off your cameras and mute your microphones.
is the interpreter just testing my sound. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
Representative Bernard, that looked so weird going through your background. It looked like you were coming out of the lake.
Me and the Loch Ness Monster, right?
Yes.
I want to mention to you that this, and I might have said it before, the beautiful picture in the background is from a local photographer who's a professional. He's published some books, Paul Sear, and none of his pictures are enhanced. So what you see is exactly what it is. It's unbelievable.
I'm hoping to take a trip up that way. I've never been further north than Holton, and I think that's a shame.
Yeah, you have to come up. And I was going to say, if I can scrape up enough money, I would love to buy a few books to send to you folks, because it's sometimes these pictures are enough to make you cry. I mean, that's how impressive they are.
Well, if you send me a link, I'll buy them myself because I love photography of Maine.
Welcome back, everybody. I'd like to actually, if we could start with our introductions one more time. So Representative Geiger, would you mind kicking us off with introductions? I think we have we might have some new folks watching. I think you're muted.
All right, okay. Thank you, Senator Curry. I'm Representative Valley Geiger, District 93, Rockland and Owl's Head.
Are we missing someone?
Perhaps Representative Andrews will join us in a minute. I'll take over in the time being. I'm Sarah Pebworth. I represent House District 133 in the Blue Hill Peninsula.
Hi, I'm Representative Amanda Collmore. I represent House District 106, which is Pittsfield, Clinton, and Detroit.
And I'm Senator Scott Searway, and I represent District 16, which covers Waterville, Winslow, Fairfield, Benton, Albion, Clinton, and Unity Township.
Good morning. I'm Representative Jack Ducharme. I represent House District 111, which is Norridgewock, Solon, and Madison.
Representative Tavis Hassenfuss. I represent House District 81, Winthrop, Reedfield, and North Monmouth.
Representative Kyle Bailey, House District 27, part of Gorham and a small part of North Scarborough.
I am Sue Bernard, representing Caribou, Westmoreland, and New Sweden.
Representative Tiffany Roberts, representing House District 6, which is the majority of North and South Berwick.
And I'm, again, Senator Chip Curry, and I represent the 26 rural, coastal, and island communities of Waldo County. Representative Andrews.
Senator John Andrews, representing District 3 in Western Maine.
Excellent. Thank you all. So I believe in order for us to begin work session on LD 18, we need a motion to take it from the table. Do we have such a motion? Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I motion we take LD 18 off the table.
Is there a second? Second, Representative Collmore. All those in favor? Very good. So with that, we will declare we begin the work session for LD 18. an act to clarify the American Sign Language interpreters licensing laws. And I will ask Ms. Olson to kick us off, walking through your bill analysis.
Great. Okay, I'm going to share my screen to look at a couple of documents, including the proposed amendment. Just a moment while I move a few things on my screen so I can see everybody and the document.
And Ms. Olson or Senator Curry, this is the interpreter. If people could just be mindful that when you're speaking and when you're reading, that we have two interpreters here, and just remember to breathe and pause. Thank you.
Thank you for the very good reminder.
And Ms. Breton, I want to make sure on the Facebook screen that we still have the interpreter, not the Facebook, but the YouTube live stream, that the interpreter is still showing up.
Now the interpreter is showing up very small while she screen shares.
Okay.
The only way I can get it to be larger is if I pin the interpreter.
I think for this time, can you try that? And we'll see how that looks.
There, see if that's better.
Are you checking on the live stream? Now, we've got a message, can't see the interpreter at all now. So, all right.
Senator
So
Curry, if I might offer a suggestion, is this the webinar version of the Zoom? If it is, if you right click on the interpreter's box, you can actually right click on both of them and hit spotlight, and that should bring them up so they're seen all the time.
Thank you very much. I will do that.
And does that work on the live stream?
Yes, it is.
Excellent.
It
Thank
should.
you very much. Ms. Olson.
Okay.
Good to go.
Great.
And I can't see anyone. And so we'll definitely be using the raise hand feature.
Okay.
I can't see the participant list. Yes.
I will mention the committee received an email from me last night that has the materials I'm screen sharing today available for your reference. This first document I've started with is the bill analysis from our first work session. The committee tasked me to go and work with two stakeholders, Jennifer Hawk from licensing. She's the regulatory board coordinator at OPFR, and Dr. Judy Shepard-Cagle from USM to address the technical issues that I identified in the original bill. This had to do with addressing the definition so that rather than referring to the requirements in the definition, we referred to the requirements section for conditional licensure. That way, if anything changed for the requirements, we would not have to go back and change the definition. And that's pretty standard practice. It also removed specific reference to two exams that no longer are being offered because of changes in the exams from RID administered by CASLI. And then it's also addressing the fact that the qualifying score was written as 3.5 and a 0.5 does not exist. Instead, a plus is used. So as you'll see in the proposed amendment, those are the changes that we addressed. Starting here, you'll see in section 1, the change to the definition of conditional license. It removes the reference to the specific requirements and instead refers to the section 1524-C. Since we are removing the specific reference to the exams, we also removed from the definition section the definition for National Interpreter Certification Knowledge Exam from current statute. we're no longer referring to it, so we no longer need a definition. Section 3 is about the score, the 0.5 not being an accurate, or it's a score that does not exist. And so we have changed this section to read documented proof of a qualifying score on an American Sign Language proficiency interview as determined by the director by rule adopted under section 1522. So this will give the director rulemaking power to set a qualifying score. This will mean if the way in which the an American Sign Language proficiency interview is scored changes, that can be set through the rulemaking process and not have to come back in front of the full legislature. And I'll add that that reads as an American Sign Language proficiency interview if there are other American Sign Language proficiency interviews that are ever accepted for this, but might use a different scoring system, it would allow them to set that qualifying score. Currently, this refers to just one that is acceptable, but that doesn't mean there might not be more in the future. And then it's section 5 of the amendment. This was what was originally put before us. And in part B here, we originally had seen reference to 2 exams by their names. Since those exams are no longer being administered, we've changed this to read a passing score on a knowledge exam administered by the Registry of Interpreters for the Deaf Incorporated or a comparable or successor organization recognized by the director. And you'll notice that this uses similar language that's referred to here in subparagraph 2. Section 6 of the amendment is an unallocated section, and this directs the director to set standards until such time as rules are adopted. The rule process can take a few months. Legislation will take effect 90 days after the end of session, and then the rulemaking process can take a few months. And so in order to bridge the gap, we have an unallocated section that says until rules are adopted under Title 32, Section 1524-C, subsection 1, defining a qualifying score on an American Sign Language proficiency interview, a person with a score of 3+ on an American Sign Language proficiency interview is deemed to have met requirements of that subsection. And then you'll see the summary of what I just walked you through at the bottom. And with that, I will stop screen sharing so that everyone can see each other more easily, and I'll take questions from the committee at this time.
And if we end the spotlight for the interpreter, then what does that look like on the for the attendees and the YouTube? Ms. Breton?
The YouTube is showing everybody who is on, including the interpreter and gallery view.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I changed it in my, I changed it on my screen. So there we go. Okay, at this point, Ms. Olson, I want to just make sure I understand. So for clarification, we solved the original, within this amendment, we solved the original comma problem to say it's not the proficiency exam or the interview. So it's both. And the amendment solves the issue of not referencing specific exams that no longer exist. So it's vague enough. We also push this into rulemaking. So the department, along with the I want to say commission, but that's the wrong term, can set the rules on that. And then in the meantime, like before that, we say that the amendment is saying that the intention of the prior legislation of 3.5 really meant 3+. And that's going to be the standard until rulemaking occurs. Is that a fair assessment of what you just said?
That is. So it gives the director the power to set the qualifying score through rulemaking. The rulemaking process requires a rule to be advertised, and there'll be a public hearing. So that's the component of rulemaking that takes place. So there will be a public hearing on whatever the qualifying score the director would like to set is. And yes, it sets until the rule is determined. It sets a 3+ as the qualifying score. And I heard from Jennifer Hawk, the regulatory, who's the regulatory board coordinator at OPFR, that was the intent of the 3.5.
Okay, very good. I have had a request for to spotlight the interpreter again as the box was too small. So I have done that. That does, I will be scrolling back and forth on panelists to make sure I can see everyone. And please use the raise hand feature so that if you have any questions.
And Senator Curry, just as you had just done that, I'm going to switch with my colleague. So if you could spotlight Julia, I'm so sorry.
Quite all right.
Okay, thank you. And we'll wait if we could just pause until she's spotlit.
There we go.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so I'm going to look for questions from the panelists from the committee. And Representative Collmore.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I don't have a question. I just wanted to thank the group for working so hard to address our concerns with the proposed language before, and I fully support allowing rulemaking to go toward the people who are the experts in this instead of having to come back to us every time something needs to be changed. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to, I don't see any other questions. I'd like to invite Jennifer Hawk to, Ms. Breton, if you could promote Ms. Hawk into the panelist. Ms. Hawk, are you there?
Yes.
Oh,
Morning.
welcome.
Thank you.
There you are. Did we get anything wrong in that interpretation? Is that your understanding of what the department, and I know you had some meetings in terms of this process in terms of how to move forward on this. I know my understanding is this was, fixing a comma that got a little bit bigger. As a sponsor, my intention was never to get into any substantive, but to clarify and to meet the needs, and we haven't had any public hearings on anything substantive to this point. So is this your intention?
Yes, it is. And thank you very much. I agree with what Ms. Olson has described as the next steps, and the edits and drafts she has put forward is agreeable. Yes.
Great. Excellent. Are there any questions for Ms. Hawk? Seeing none. At this point, are there any other questions or comments that members have, or are we ready for a motion? Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In regards to LD 18, I'd like to make a motion ought to pass as amended with the amendment that Ms. Olson has just presented.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Second.
Second, I think I heard Senator Searway there.
Yep.
And is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion. Are we ready for a vote? Looks like we're ready for a vote. Would Ms. Breton call the roll?
Representative Geiger,
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews,
Yes.
Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pebworth,
Yes.
Representative Pebworth, yes. Representative Collmore,
Yes.
Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Lucchini,
Yes.
Senator Lucchini, yes. Senator Seaway,
Yes.
Senator Seaway, yes. Representative Ducharme,
Yes.
Representative Ducharme, yes. Representative Austin, still absent. Representative Hassenfuss,
Yes.
Representative Hassenfuss, yes. Representative Bailey,
Yes.
Representative Bailey, yes. Representative Bernard,
Yes.
Representative Bernard, yes. Representative Roberts,
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry,
Yes.
Senator Curry, yes. That's 12 yes, no negatives, and 1 absent.
Having 12 voting in the affirmative for ought to pass as amended. 12 of those present. We will declare this work session closed. Work session on LD 18 is closed. We'll now open the work session on LD 171.
And Senator Curry, the interpreters are just going to take our leave.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Ms. Breton, did we had no request for interpreters for the later bills, is that correct?
That is correct, Senator.
I should have asked that before they were taking their leave. So great. Thank you. And we'll unspotlight. Actually, that might just be gallery. Yeah, okay. That's an interesting. I haven't dealt with the spotlight service yet. Thank you, Representative Collmore.
You're still on spotlight, Senator.
I'm spotlighted?
Yes.
I think you might be able to change your own settings if you click on the view button at the top right of your screen.
Okay. Yep. There we go.
I didn't change anything. So did someone else change something?
I think we're good.
Okay. All right. Very good. Because I only had the option to spotlight me for everyone. So, all right, we'll move ahead. So LD 171 is an act to enable out-of-state certified public accountancy firms to provide services in Maine on the basis of substantial equivalency. And at this point, I would ask Ms. Breton to welcome Representative Millett. And if Ms. Olson, if you can begin your bill analysis.
Certainly. All right, LD 171, an act to enable out-of-state certified public accountancy firms to provide services in Maine on the basis of substantial equivalency. So this bill establishes parity in license mobility between certified public accountancy firms and individual certified public accountants by enabling out-of-state certified public accountancy firms to provide services in Maine on the basis of substantial equivalency in the same manner as individual certified public accountants. A certified public accountancy firm providing services in Maine on the basis of substantial equivalency need not provide notice or register with the Board of Accountancy, but must follow the requirements of Maine law and the board's rules. We heard testimony in favor from the following individuals. Takeaways from testimony is that this legislation would benefit Maine taxpayers and Maine businesses, including CPAs in Maine. It would allow greater access to a CPA pool while ensuring the same standards. Individual CPA mobility is already in place, and this bill establishes similar standards for firms. Other states such as Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island already do this. It's key to supporting the profession. It reduces compliance burdens across state lines without reducing standards. And it's a part of a national effort to serve clients and businesses more effectively. And the substantial equivalency clause ensures that current standards will still be met. Commissioner Head spoke neither for nor against, and she informed the committee that currently firms from out of state need to get a license from the state to practice here, but individual CPAs do not. Based on substantial equivalency, this bill would establish similar standards for firms. Representative Millett put forward an amendment to the original LD, the original bill, which was shared during the public hearing and was included in her written testimony, which I have linked here. And it really addressed the substantial equivalency, connecting that to other parts of the statute, as well as the elements of peer review and firm ownership, which are addressed in other sections of the CPA statute. A fiscal note is required. A preliminary fiscal note has been issued, linked here, and I copied the details. So this bill may result in a decrease in the amount of dedicated revenue received by the Board of Accountancy within the Office of Professional and Occupational Licensing, Department of Professional and Financial Regulation for licensing fees. The amount is expected to be minor. And then at the bottom, you'll find references to current statute that is referred to in the bill. Again, just for your reference here. Stop sharing. And I'll take any questions at this time. And I know that Representative Millett is also on the Zoom screen.
Any questions for Ms. Olson? Excellent. Seeing no questions, and Representative Millett, and I've been mispronouncing your name again. Somehow I think Senator Jackson messed with me on that in terms of I've done that wrong. I apologize. So you pronounce it Millett.
Nope, I actually pronounce it Millett. You were right.
Oh, I was right. I just have such trust in Ms. Olson that I was like,
my apologies.
Go with your gut. Your gut's always right.
Well, welcome. Did you want to say a few words before we go on? And I wanted to give people an opportunity to ask you questions.
No, I think there was a good discussion in the public hearing, and I'm just here to answer any questions that I might be able to answer. I'm not an accountant, so that may be interesting, but I think Ms. Olson could probably help as well. So just here to help as the discussion goes along.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Any questions for Representative Millett? Seeing no questions. Any comments or any recommendations before we go and have a motion? Senator Searway.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say that this is probably a really good bill to me, that it opens the door a little bit for accountants and certified accountants, and I think that we need them, and so I think that this is a good opportunity, and I do like the amendment, so I think it's a good bill. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Senator Searway. Any other comments? We ready for a motion?
Yeah.
So a move to ought to pass. I assume Senator Searway ought to pass as amended
Yes,
with
move
the,
ought to pass as amended.
yep. And the amendment being
Seconded.
the fiscal note, as I understand it, correct?
Right.
There was no other amendment other than the fiscal note?
Uh, You'll have to forgive me, Representative. I'm not going to get it right. Millet.
It's
Millet.
okay.
Millet. There we go. Millet.
I'll
You did
answer that
submit.
to you.
Your amendment was more than a fiscal note. It did include additional language that really connected the peer review and the ownership elements throughout the original bill. That
Thank
is
you very
correct.
much. I connected that with the original. I conflated those. So the amendment with the amendment including the fiscal note.
Yes,
Representative
there is-
Collmore, were you seeking to second?
Yes.
Excellent. Second. So it's moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Ms. Olson, no? Ms. Breton, can you call the roll?
Yes, so I have an ought to pass as amended motion by Senator Seaway, seconded by Representative Collmore. Representative Geiger.
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews.
Yes.
Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pedworth.
Yes.
Representative Pedworth, yes. Representative Collmore.
Yes.
Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Lucchini.
Yes.
Senator Lucchini, yes. Senator Seaway.
Yes.
Senator Seaway, yes. Representative Ducharme.
Yes.
Representative Ducharme, yes. Representative Austin, absent. Representative Hassenfuss.
Yes.
Representative Hassenfuss, yes. Representative Bailey.
Yes.
Representative Bailey, yes. Representative Bernard.
Yes.
Representative Bernard, yes. Representative Roberts.
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry.
Yes.
Senator Curry, yes. That's 12 in favor, none opposed, and 1 absent.
So,
Thank you, everyone.
thank you very much. So having voted in favor, 12 in favor of those present, we'll declare this work session closed. At this point, I'd like to take a 5-minute break and have a quick chairs and leads conversation. So if I could call Representative Bernard and Senator Searway, I'll give a quick phone call and just check in. And we'll, if everyone could hang on, we'll be right back.
Hello, Representative Bailey. You're muted.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. We're all sitting here kind of going, duh.
Yeah, right. How are things in your neck of the woods?
Not bad. Not bad. It's not a bad day. The sun's out. It's not 0 below 0 and all the rest of that stuff. So
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Are you in Madison, Maine?
I am.
Okay,
Yep.
nice. Cool.
Yep, I am. Where's your territory?
I'm in Gorham. So I've
Gorham?
got half of Gorham and a little bit of Scarborough.
I see. I see. Yeah. Well, that's good. Good. I'm originally from Southern Maine, so I'm familiar with that. Yeah. I was born in Sanford, so
Okay.
and a lot of my family lives down there. So haven't been down there in quite some time.
Right.
You guys are far too contagious for me. So I stay up here in the woods where
There you go.
where it's clean and pristine.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, we hate wearing masks too, just so you know.
I all do, but you know, we gotta do what we gotta do. Are you a hunter?
No,
No.
no, no. I
Fisherman?
used to years ago I did, and then, life got in my way, and, developed this habit of being a workaholic. And so I did work so much that I just, recreation was working on a voluntary basis for other groups and so forth. So I just retired. I just retired from a bank, and before I retired, I had already been offered several jobs. And so 2 weeks into my retirement, I took one of those jobs.
And then you decided to do this too.
Well, this was one of the reasons I retired, because the bank wasn't real. The bank would have given me a 2-year leave of absence. That Representative Hassenfuss said, you would, and I've several times I've seen you on the screen, and I've thought I should talk to him. My new job is I am an administrator at a law firm.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the law firm I'm working at, she has tried for a number of years to get a partner to come in, or another lawyer, because it's just so much work. It's a real estate law firm, basically.
Yeah.
And just hasn't found the right fit and so forth. So and I used to do a ton of work with them from a real estate perspective at the bank. And so over the years, we've talked about it and came up with this idea that, if we could get a situation where the lawyer only had to do the stuff that the lawyer had to do.
Only does the lawyering. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and the mantra in our office is, her name is Lori Blaisdell. Lori does law, and we keep telling Lori, anything that's not law, somebody else needs to do. And so far it's working pretty well. I mean, she's, we've hired a bookkeeper, we've hired a real estate title and real estate processor. We've hired a paralegal for doing title work and title searches and that kind of stuff, receptionists and those kinds of things. So now we're working on IT services and computer upgrades and all the rest of that stuff. So all things that, because she was so busy doing the law that she had to do to make money, she didn't have time to deal with. So our whole office kind of works on this idea that it's our job to do everything we can do to keep her doing what she does to make money, because she's our cash cow. So we need to keep her working.
I mean, that is kind of the dichotomy in, especially a small law office, where it's like any time you spend doing administrative stuff is time that you don't get paid for, because the only way you get paid is if you are doing legal work. And I think a lot of small offices kind of have that same predicament where, how much do they do administratively versus the legal work? And a lot of lawyers are at retirement age too, and they're thinking, what do I want to do the next 5 years, and how am I going to end things off? But
well, and the whole thing started out, she started talking to me about, while I was in the legislature, I couldn't do closings because we could, but it just worked out fine. So anyway, it's all good.
Is Ernie Hilton still practicing? Does he still have his own?
He does. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Ernie and
good
Gwen,
guy.
I think his wife is Gwen. Really nice people.
Yep. Matter of fact, his office is quarter of a mile from my house.
Okay.
So I used to be on a school board with Ernie. So pretty cool.
Hope you
Small world.
realize we're still on the live stream and we're still on the audio. So the people in the attendees and the YouTube and the audio can hear everything that's going on.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
We're getting to know each other.
Yeah. Right. If they want to drop in,
have a chance to talk.
I just wanted to make you aware. That's all.
Yeah. No, thank you. That is that is good to know. And we're always live when we're on here, right?
Yes.
You are. It should say at the top of your screen in red, live on custom audio.
It does.
Yeah.
That's when we're going to YouTube. I set the audio up earlier in the morning.
Are you guys all excited to come in next week? Because I know I am. Well, I'm in Augusta every time we meet anyway, but I'm excited for everybody because I want to actually see faces.
Yes,
that aren't.
I will be socially distant butterfly on next week, running around seeing everybody. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree.
It's,
Can't wait.
Yeah, I do find that one of the frustrating things is it's hard to really get to know people and build a relationship. It's like, I've seen you on the screen a few times. You know?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think my biggest concern is I won't recognize anybody because they'll be covered.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, are those Representative Hassenfuss's eyes? Or
Yeah, right. And you won't be able to see the beard. So, but we're all gonna have the little name tag, so that's gonna help.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, that will help.
Yeah, everybody gotta wear name tags.
Yeah.
What would be really funny is to have like little name, like badge stickers above that show a picture of our whole face.
Yeah.
Above the name, so that we can be like, oh, that's what that person looks like. Okay.
That's a
We could
great
just-
idea.
We could just do all screenshots off from Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah. This is my actual smile. I'm smiling right now.
What would be really funny is if you could have it like, if you're really happy, it would be smiling, and then you could flip it over if you're like, I'm not sure I like this.
Yeah. We just need a bunch of emoji masks that we can like change out depending.
Swap them out.
A great idea, especially considering we can't get very close to one another. We're going to have that. You're right. We're going to have that going. I think that our what we're covering ourselves with should complete our face. Do you know?
Like
so the face
like a
coverage
picture of our lower face.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you get the whole picture.
Yeah, I've seen some. I know some people who have the clear masks, so you can see, you know, all their facial expressions and all that. But
You know, lots of times I feel like Wilson on Tim the Tool Man.
Oh, that's great. That's a really, you know, I have not seen anybody wear a mask that is a fence yet. I don't know how that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
That's funny. Probably offense.
Oh my God, I'm so
would be
sorry. Were you
offensive.
guys listening, having to listen to James Taylor? I just realized my iTunes was on and I thought they were playing background music while we were waiting for the chair to come back.
you
I'm
can
sorry.
barely hear it.
Just barely hear it.
I'm thinking this is well, not for me. It was really loud. It's like, God, how can they even talk to each other with this really loud music playing?
If it's James Taylor, I'm saying turn it up.
Wow.
See, this is an example of the fun that we would have if we were all in committee together.
Truly,
Yeah.
truly.
Yeah.
So I guess we need to be prepared to be absolutely frozen and hungry
That's
next
it.
week.
Yeah.
Mm.
I guess we're being called to caucus.
Okay. Oh, to caucus. Okay.
Until we
Goodbye.
meet again.
Bye.
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 Was Wally? Yeah, I think I have. That's a capsule, right?
To my group, I'm not going to be caucusing.
No, I don't need to. Yeah.
Okay.
At least it's not windy out. God, that wind
Yeah.
was something the other day.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Wow.
It actually kept waking me up in the middle of the night, and I thought maybe the siding on the side of my house was going to come off because it
Wow.
was just so bad. I could
Yeah.
hear it flapping.
Wow. Wow. I got
And
to
it
log
put on
home.
really
so it
well.
doesn't- I got to log home so that doesn't happen. But
You could actually hear our metal roof creaking too in
Wow.
the wind.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really, we live in Pittsfield, we live on Library Street
Yeah.
where the tunnel for the train tracks are.
Right. Yeah.
So even on just breezy days, it's really windy because of that tunnel.
Yeah.
And when it's really windy, it's really bad there.
Must really whistle.
Yes, it really does. Actually, sometimes you're like, is that the wind or the train coming?
Right.
I try not to complain about it though, because my parents are out in North Dakota and that is real wind.
Yeah.
Like what they call a breezy day is windy for us.
Yeah. It's like a tundra.
Yes. You actually learn to kind of walk with a lean
Yeah.
as you're out there because it's always blowing.
You don't have to worry about bug season that way, though.
Surprisingly, you still get a lot of bugs. I think that
Oh.
they grew up muscles to be able
Yeah.
to fight the wind to come towards you.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I like Pittsfield. It's a nice area. It's a lot of nice little shops and different things going on there.
Yeah, I love Pittsfield. I've lived here pretty much my entire life, with the exception of a couple of years at the beginning of my life when my dad was stationed in Illinois.
Yeah.
But I was born in Waterville. My first days in the world living were in Pittsfield, and my son's actually third generation to graduate from MCI, coming up in a couple of years here. So
Nice.
it's home. I love Pittsfield.
Yeah. They've got some beautiful buildings there for the school and everything. Yeah.
Yep, that's Founders Hall right behind me.
I know. It's gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really interesting. The experience of going to MCI, having not experienced any other kind of high school, to go when like we would have music competitions, and to go to a high school where it's like all in one building.
Right.
Like, I don't understand how this works. because
Yeah. It's different,
that's
isn't
not
it?
what I'm used to. But it also helps you prepare if you choose to go on to college.
Yeah.
You're used to having to go around to different buildings. and
It's like
that
a
was
college
very
campus,
unique.
you
And
know? Yeah.
it absolutely is, yes. And
Yeah.
there's residential halls on the campus, and
Right.
and our food is much better than most high schools that we would visit would
Yeah.
be, because of course they want to bring in those residential students, and food is an important part of that.
Yeah. 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 Well, yeah.
Plus you can't beat MCI's performing arts programs. They're top notch there.
Oh, they are. Yeah. 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 Yep. I'm enjoying this committee. I think it's a pretty good committee to work with.
I'm so glad we're on it.
Yeah.
I really enjoy what we're doing, and I think what we're doing, especially in the times that we're in, really matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does anyone know when Kathleen says that we will be staying late on Wednesday and Thursday. I'm mostly wondering about Thursday. Any crystal balling about what late normally means in legislative time?
Well, my experience is it can go up till 2 or 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I've seen it go that late. I don't think that they plan on that. I think they probably plan on maybe 9 or 10 at night. I think, I think they plan to do it on the first day to be almost done, but they may expect it's going to go into the next day. So if it does, then they'll probably, quit at a reasonable time and then go to the next day. So I would say, it'll probably go into the evening, but I'm not sure how late they'll go.
That just means I'm going to keep my hotel reservation for Thursday night. I'm not going to try to drive
Right,
home Thursday
yeah.
evening, probably.
Yeah. And a lot of it's a kind of hurry up and wait. It's they'll do, one section and for the House, and then goes to the Senate, and then the paperwork's got to go back to the House and back and forth, so some of that is just waiting while the other is being worked on.
I
And
think
it's
what's
paperwork.
interesting to me, Senator Searway, too, is learning all of the things. I thought I knew how legislatures met and worked and stuff like that, having taken courses in college on that stuff.
Yeah.
I had no idea the extent of how much back and forth there is between the two bodies until joining this. I think it's really interesting, and I like how the co-equal branches of government in that sense work really well together.
Yeah.
To go back and forth.
It's pretty impressive. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is Representative Austin not feeling well today, or did she lose internet?
No problems with internet. She had a doctor's appointment, but she's not ill. It was a planned doctor's
check up.
appointment. She may be able to tune in when she gets back. She had to go to Lewiston for it.
Oh, geez.
From Gray, how long would that be? Not that bad, right?
No.
Oh,
a
no,
half
from
hour.
Gray, probably not bad. No, I think of it from Pittsfield terms,
Yeah.
which is an hour and a half. I'm like, wow, Lewiston.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you very much, and welcome back. We will now open the work session on LD 273, an act to sustain doctors for Maine's future scholarship program. Let's see who's here. Looks like it's just us. So I will ask Ms. Olson, can you walk us through this?
Yes, I can. Okay, good. All right, LD 273, an act to sustain the Doctors for Maine's future scholarship program.
Ms. Olson, can you pause for just a second?
Of course.
Representative Andrews, do you have a technical issue that we need to solve? Are you there?
It looks like he's in the attendees.
Okay, let's see. Did we somehow move him into attendee? Let's move him back. Yeah, oh, it might be, let's see, more, promote to panelist. And Ms. Olson, can you unshare?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you. Representative Andrews, are you back with us? I will.
I believe I am. Thank you for the assist.
Yeah. So are you able to turn your camera on if you need to? Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. And now we'll go back to you, Ms. Olson.
All right. So LD 273, an act to sustain the Doctors for Maine's Future Scholarship Program. This bill provides ongoing funds to the Doctors for Maine's Future Scholarship Program under the Maine Revised Statutes Title 20-A, Section 12103-A, which supports medical school scholarships for eligible students who attend a qualifying Maine-based medical school program and have a substantial connection to Maine. These are the individuals who we heard testimony in favor. The takeaways from that testimony is that this program connects learners with Maine communities. Medical debt is a huge burden, especially for many Mainers and for those who are interested in pursuing jobs in rural regions. There are no state-sponsored medical schools, and the average debt is just over $200,000 just for medical school, and this program helps reduce this burden. Scholarships reduce the financial hardship and open the door for others who want to serve Maine people. It opens up opportunities to pursue medical school. It's a valuable recruiting tool for students in Maine and represents a strong public-private partnership as funds must be matched, state funds must be matched with private donation. And the program is working and it addresses critical shortages in primary care in the state. There were no individuals who gave testimony in opposition or neither for nor against. We did have a couple of questions related to the program. Katie Fulham Harris from Maine Health was able to provide many of those answers. She provided them in a memo, which is linked here, and I've also included the information here on the bill analysis. She provided an overview of the scholarship program, which is created by the 124th Maine Legislature. It provides a tuition subsidy of $25,000 per student annually for eligible students who qualify, who enter a qualifying Maine-based medical school program, of which there are two: the Maine Medical Center Tufts University Medical School and the University of New England College of Osteopathic Medicine. There were some questions about what is considered a close tie to Maine. The Finance Authority of Maine's criteria, and this comes from the statute, which is included at the end of the bill analysis as well. You have to be enrolled in a qualifying Maine-based medical school program. You have to have a substantial connection to the state of Maine and at least 1 year of residence in Maine for purposes other than education. And priority is given to medical students who meet at least two of the following criteria. The student has received a high school diploma or its equivalent in Maine. The student has received a baccalaureate degree from a four-year college or university in Maine, or the legal residence of the student's parent or parents or legal guardians is in Maine. There were questions about how many Doctors for Maine's Future Scholarship recipients practice primary care in Maine, and FAME provided that information at 53% are practicing in Maine. That's 18 of 34 recipients. And of those, 61% are practicing in primary care, 11 of 18. And then there were questions about when did the legislature last appropriate funding to the Doctors for Maine's Future Scholarship Program. I'm going to scroll just up for a second. FAME uses $400,000 of its annual student financial assistance appropriations to help fund this program. And the two participating medical schools provide their own match money for the funding for each student awarded a scholarship. The 129th legislature approved $800,000 to help sustain the program. The governor's proposed biennial budget did not continue the funding, and as a result, FAME will need to decrease its annual scholarships award from the current 4 students per school to 2 students per school for fiscal year 21-22. Additionally, this could impact 2 more students at each school that receive scholarship matching funds provided by the schools themselves. And I'll just reference, we did see this when we were working the biennial budget on Tuesday. There is a fiscal impact. Fiscal note is required, and I've put the, some of the details here. We have a preliminary note at this time. This bill includes ongoing general fund appropriations of $400,000 per year, beginning in fiscal year 21-22, to the Doctors for Maine's Future Scholarship Program administered by the Finance Authority of Maine to support medical school scholarships for eligible students who attend a qualifying Maine-based medical school program and have a substantial connection to Maine. I also attached, this was provided in testimony, UNE's, Doctors for Maine's Future brochure. My apologies for the typo. And then I have the full statutory reference included here at the end of the bill analysis for your information. And with that, if there are questions for me, I'm happy to answer them to the best of my ability.
And I also want to let the committee know that Mr. Norbert has been brought into the room. So if we don't have any questions for Ms. Olson, Mr. Norbert is also here and we can ask him. Representative Bernard.
Thank you very much, Senator Curry. I just wondered, beyond the requirement that people have a connection to Maine, is there any further requirement that the doctors end up working in Maine beyond their graduation?
Is that for Mr. Norbert?
I think it's for Mr. Norbert.
Okay, great.
Good morning, Senator Curry, Representative Roberts, and members of the committee. Bill Norbert here with FAME. Representative Bernard, the answer is no, there isn't. This was discussed when the program was first created, and it was decided at the time that not to include a formal requirement because data shows that students who learn in a certain state or do their residency in a certain state tend to remain in that state. And that was considered at the time to be sufficient. So that's the answer. No, there's no formal requirement.
Representative Ducharme.
Is there, thank you, Chairman Curry. Mr. Norbert, is there any information on the other 16, I believe, of the 34? Where are those folks now? And, you know, did they practice in Maine at all or anything like that? It just seems like based on what you just said, the data doesn't really support that if they learn in Maine, they're going to stay in Maine because only 50% of them have.
There is some data, Representative Ducharme. Our data goes to July 1st, 2019, so we don't have the last 2 years yet. But at that time, as far as state of, you know, there's residency and then there's post-residency. And I know we have residency statistic, you know, most, as was noted, are in Maine, 22. This is residency. Then the next biggest state was Massachusetts. There were 9 performing their residency at that time. This is as of July 1st, 2019. And then, you know, Pennsylvania was next with 5. So Maine is definitely the biggest. As far as employment by state, I don't know that I have the, I'd have to calculate it and get back to you, I think. But, you know, Maine, again, the overwhelming. And then there's employment in other states. I don't have right here how many in each state. And let's see, employment by state and specialty. As was mentioned, employment by state, as of July 1st, 2019, for Tufts and UNE graduates, this is after, you know, all their schooling and residency. Maine had 18. The next biggest was California with 2, Florida with 2, and there are a few other states at 2. But about 53% were employed in Maine as of July 1st, 2019. And again, that data may have changed slightly in the 2 years that followed. Is that helpful?
Thank you very much. Senator Searway.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This will be directed towards Mr. Norbert too. Just what his thought is if we did similar to what they did for nursing and make it maybe, 5 years for doctors and maybe 3 years, 2 or 3 years if they were a nurse that did that 4 or 5 years and then they wanted to be a doctor. I would like to give some leeway there, but what's your thoughts on doing the same similar thing as we did with nurses?
I'm not sure exactly, Senator Searway, what your question is. I know what you mean by nurses getting a portion of the proposal is to pay back a portion of their loans for each year that they taught, right? The nurse educators. And this, of course, is a different animal. It's a scholarship, and it's awarded $25,000 per year for 4 years. That's to help them afford medical school. So they are different ideas, different concepts. I don't know whether there's another part of your question I'm missing, and also you might want to check in.
I didn't know if there was a like a penalty if they don't stay in Maine, or if there's something maybe if they leave Maine for the first 5 years, if maybe they have to pay back 50% or something like that, or just some incentive to keep them here. I'm just thinking we're losing half our doctors that we paid out this money, and I just think that there's got to be some incentive to keep them here.
That is possible. However, that isn't how the program's been working. And I think I would encourage you to check in with the medical schools that have the best experience and the best information. We can run any kind of program that you tell us to, but we are informed, of course, by the experts and the participants. And I would encourage you to run that idea by Maine Medical School and by University of New England representatives if they're here.
Representative Hassenfuss. Oh, sorry, Senator Searway, were going to say something else? You're muted. Oh, okay. Thank you. Representative Hassenfuss.
Mr. Norbert, these are all Maine kids essentially that get this scholarship, right?
For the most part, Representative, they have connections, strong connections here, as was noted. So depending on your definition of Maine kids, maybe they weren't all born here, but they may have gone to school here. They may be living here now. That kind of Maine kid, yeah.
And you give priority to the ones who either went to college here, went to high school here, and have parents who reside here. Is that right?
Well, the schools themselves actually identify the recipients. So we work closely with them on that. So that might be a question to check in with the schools on as well.
And there is no in-state tuition in Maine because there's no medical school in Maine. Is that right?
That's correct.
And if...
Oh, wait, there is a private medical school, University of New England College of Medicine, the Osteopathic College is a private school, obviously, but that was our first. I mean, that's a medical school in Maine before. Now Maine Med and Tufts are considered a medical school in Maine, but.
Does UNE offer any in-state tuition?
Yeah, I don't know how they operate. I don't believe so, because they're not like a public school like University of Maine. You could ask that of their representative.
All right. Is this program, was this program kind of, conceptualized to offer in-state tuition to Maine students so that they could continue their education in the medical field, the same that an engineer or somebody going to the University of Maine systems would be able to pay in-state tuition?
Yeah, I think it's a little different. The conception was to provide a scholarship for students with strong Maine connections, so that they could afford their medical education at the 2 schools currently open in this state. And the idea was that once they had that experience, and I think the evidence shows this for the most part, they would want to remain here and to practice in needed areas, be it primary care or underserved specialties, rural areas. So there's a lot of discussion about that, and I think it is working. A lot of Maine kids who otherwise couldn't afford to attend medical school are able to do it and do it in their own state.
And they're matching funds, right?
Yes, that was part of the deal too. So that was a unique opportunity. Both schools were willing to provide a 1-for-1 match for the scholarships awarded. So they have to come up with that money on their own. And they do.
I'm gonna ask Sarah Calder, Ms. Breton, if you could invite Sarah Calder in, who is with Maine Health. And I'll wait for you. Ms. Calder, welcome. I wanted to ask you, can you address any more on this question of the graduates and the staying in Maine, whether they're in the program or part of the match the matched program? Do you have any information on that?
Sure. I'm sorry, I may have missed it, of the ones that are currently practicing here in Maine.
Right. So I think the question that's being asked is this is a scholarship program, and we're seeing a 53% staying in Maine. What's going on with that? And is there so what's going on with that?
Sure. Thanks, Senator Curry, for the question. So this has come up in years past, should there be a clawback provision or a penalty. And this has been discussed across the country with various other programs, and the data shows that that doesn't work. That students and graduates will actually pay the penalty or pay back a loan so that they can practice in the state that they want to practice in. So that was the decision that I wasn't around, but Mr. Norbert addressed it. That was the reason why that avenue wasn't pursued, that it doesn't show that the results would be any better by imposing a penalty. And I would just note that over half are practicing here in Maine, which is on par with some of the most successful rural focused programs in the country. So I think it's something that we should be really proud of.
Thank you. Representative Collmore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to start off by saying that I don't think any of us think this is a bad program. We're just especially in the economic times that we're in, trying to be very cognizant of how much money, of course, when programs like this happen, and I assume the intent was that not only would we have more practicing doctors in primary care, especially in the most rural parts of our state, but also that the program would end up being paid back by the tax revenue earned by somebody staying in the program. And I'm curious, at the 53%, do we end up earning back that money, and how long does it take to earn that back? Because I think for taxpayers, that's an important thing.
Well, I'm wondering if anyone has that. That's a really interesting question. I'm not sure either of our guests would have that question. I'd be able to answer that.
I'm sorry, Senator Curry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I wonder if maybe it might be possible for me to put forward a motion to table so that we could get some of this information answered before we continue on with the approval or not of the bill.
You've put forward a motion to table, so.
Yes, I have put forward a motion to table.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. A motion to table is not debatable, so I will ask Ms. Breton to call the roll.
Okay, we have a motion to table by Representative Collmore, seconded by Representative Bernard. Representative Geiger.
No.
Representative Geiger, no. Representative Andrews?
No.
Representative Andrews, no. Representative Pebworth?
No.
Representative Pebworth, no. Representative Collmore?
Yes.
Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Lucchini?
No.
Senator Lucchini, no. Senator Seaway?
Yes.
Senator Seaway, yes. Representative Ducharme?
Yes.
Representative Ducharme, yes. Representative Austin? Still absent. Representative Hassenfuss?
No.
Representative Hassenfuss, no. Representative Bailey?
No.
Representative Bailey, no. Representative Bernard?
Yes.
Representative Bernard, yes. Representative Roberts?
No.
Representative Roberts, no. Senator Curry?
No.
Senator Curry, no. So you had 4 in favor, 8 opposed, 1 absent, so the motion fails.
So our first party line vote, just recognize that. Representative Pebworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate wanting to know a return on investment, but when I think about 18 communities in Maine having a doctor who might not have otherwise, that to me is a good return on investment. We've been hearing so much about needing a good workforce, needing a strong workforce, and concern about our rural hospitals. I think that leaves me comfortable enough with this bill and this program.
I'm going to ask, does anyone else have questions for either Mr. Norbert or Ms. Calder? Ms. Breton, I'm going to ask if you can return them to the attendee list. Thank you. And I saw next Representative Andrews.
There. I've seen this work firsthand, and I think the program, we should support it. I'll be voting in favor.
I'm sorry, you're cutting out. Can you say that again?
I've seen this program work firsthand. I'll be supporting it today. It's a very worthwhile program to get done in Maine.
Thank you. Senator Seaway.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I think that all of us feel it's a worthwhile program. I don't think that's the big discussion. And we want to just take the time to see what could be done to keep more doctors than what we got. That's the concern, and I think they did that with the nursing, and so we were just trying to see what that was and what we could do with that. But since it didn't meet the tabling, I think that I just wanted to ask, if the doctors are willing to pay back, and if they want to go out of state, that's their option, and that's fine. I think that we did allow them to have that option. So I'm just kind of wondering what states did that and how successful that was, doing it that way. So anyway, that it must have been done somewhere in order to know that. So, but that was a question I was going to ask. Maybe Sarah, she could explain that.
Sure. I'm happy to bring them back in. I thought we were done with that. And excellent. So, can you bring in Ms. Calder? And I think there was a Yes, bring in Ms. Calder, please. Did you hear the question?
I did. Senator Seaway, you asked which states had required that the graduates pay back their loans. I don't have that right at my fingertips right now. I can certainly get that and provide it to the committee, but I don't have it in front of me. I apologize.
Senator, did you have another question, a follow-up?
Yeah, follow up.
Yeah.
Maybe just a thought that if we're not going to table it, that we could come up with whatever we're going to do today, and then on the reading we could maybe get that answered.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be if we have to change our vote, then we could. But just wanted to get that reading. So.
Thank you, Senator Searway, and I see we are working to try to get to a strong message here, and I see all of us trying to get to that strong message, and I want to respect that effort. I also want to make sure that that message has a timeliness that I'm a little bit concerned of in relation to the AFA, when appropriations will, because these are entwined with the message we give for through the budget bill. So we'll continue this discussion. I see Representative Hassenfuss.
Yes, thank you, Senator Curry. One, Representative Colomar, to speak to your question, and this is very rough numbers, but let's say, I think the approximate average salary for a physician in Maine is $200,000. Let's say they pay, $5,000 a year in, Maine taxes, which I think they'd be in that ballpark, maybe even more. I think they'd probably be more. Then after 5 years, we've received our return on investment. That's also not considering that every dollar the state spends, the schools are also going to spend. And so when you see that 53% number, what that's showing is that all of the investments from the state have gone back to doctors who have been in this state. The state has not lost any money on it because there are no doctors that the state paid for that have gone out of state, because the fluctuation that is covered by what the school itself is actually going to pay for. So it provides a 50% margin of error for anybody who moves outside of the state, so we're doing slightly better than expected there. And I certainly understand the concern with, wanting to have these doctors pay back, any of the money that they were given. And there's two different types of programs that FAME offers, and my family was the recipient of one of them with a repayment program for working in Maine. And one is the loan program where they give you the funds and then they'll forgive those funds at a later date. And one is, as this is, a scholarship program where they are saying, we're going to give you a grant to pursue your education. And with the cost being so high of, doctorate education, it is really helpful. I mean, I know as being a spouse of somebody who's gone through it, that any money that you can find through a grant is incredibly helpful in getting you through that education process where you're not making any money, and so you're living poverty wages for most of that time. And in addition, from a policy perspective, we're encouraging and rewarding the students who have done well in Maine. So they're people whose parents have a residence in Maine, who went to high school in Maine, who have gone to college in Maine. And what we are setting as a policy is saying, we are rewarding you for studying hard, for doing well in school, because you have to do exceptionally well in your undergraduate studies to get accepted to a medical school. And we're saying this is our state's reward to you, because we don't have a state medical school that can offer you in-state tuition. And so we're providing, you this as an opportunity, and these other schools, are providing that as well. So you're getting double the bang for your buck. And so I think the way we have the two programs set up, they both work hand in hand. One scholarship program where we're rewarding students for, having Maine ties for exceptional academic achievements. And we also get the double benefit of, in addition to rewarding them, they're very likely to stay here in Maine and contribute to our economy, provide, physicians in areas that we really need them, and over time, pay back what the state gave them and then some. And that's why I strongly support this bill and will be voting affirmatively for it. And I encourage all of you to send that message to AFA, because it's not going to be an easy one to pass. So.
Ms. Bratton, I'm going to ask you to, I see Dan Moran with MMA is in the attendee list. Can you bring him in, please? Hi, Mr. Moran. Have you been following the conversation?
Yes, I have. Dueling, actually 3 Zoom meetings at once, monitoring bills. So I quickly made a phone call and said, hey, get me in that room. Thanks for inviting me. My name is Dan Moran. I'm the Director of Communications and Government Affairs for the Maine Medical Association. And I wanted to jump in to talk about specifically the value added and the benefit. Representative Collmore had brought up a great question. I mean, what's the payoff to the taxpayer? And if it's $400,000 a year, then what are we getting back as far as tax revenue? Well, there are some studies, and I'm going to forward it to the committee clerk, who I thank for just getting me in here so quickly. But there are a couple studies that I had on hand. One specifically mentioned a rural primary care physician practicing in a community with a local hospital creates an estimated 24.2 local jobs and over 1.3 million in income, wages, salaries, and benefits from the clinic and the hospital. So that may be an employed physician, it may be a private practice physician, which there are both in the state of Maine. And then I have another study that says one family practice physician that goes to a rural area in the United States and practices obstetrics, which happens because you can't get a lot of obstetrics and gynecologists to go to rural areas. One family practice physician, they're still out there, that delivers babies, provides $488,000 in economic impact for the local area on an annual basis. So you could make the argument that asking for $400,000 in revenue or taxpayer dollars to fund this very effective program is paid for by just one physician practicing in a rural area delivering babies every single year. One physician comes back, it pays for the entire ask that is before you right now every single year. One physician.
Representative Ducharme.
Thank you, Chairman Curry. I would echo what a number of others have said, in that I don't think that any of us are opposed to the program. There were just some questions that we had. I serve on the board of directors of HealthReach, and I know we are continually struggling to find doctors for our rural clinics. And it just seems to me like if we're providing taxpayer money to help educate doctors, there should be some kind of a carrot to say, hey, we'd like to have you stay in Maine for a little while anyway. And that's really kind of what my thought was behind asking if there was some kind of incentivizing to keep them in Maine. I certainly would echo the comments of Senator Searway. I think it's a good program and so forth, and likely will support it. But I just had questions, and I don't know that our questions are necessarily inappropriate. We're just trying to understand. Yep. When you give somebody money, there's typically some kind of either expectation of performance that you're asking for, or there's a penalty for not performing. And So we just were trying to figure that out, and we didn't see anything in the language of the bill or in the prior documentation that gave any kind of a sense that this wasn't just, we gave taxpayer money to people, and there was no obligation to do anything on their part in return for that money. We gave the money because they were tied to Maine in some way, shape, or form. But there was nothing after the money came to kind of say to the people of Maine, thanks for providing me an education. And that's what I think really that's where we're all at with this. So that would be my comment on that.
Right. It is interesting. I think the timing of the bills that we have had we just came from a loan repayment bill with the nurse faculty educators, and now we're on a scholarship bill, a grant and scholarship bill that, the fact they're both in healthcare also connects them in my head as well. But it does remind me more of like, we're funding engineers, and maybe they'll work in Maine and maybe they won't, in terms of scholarships. So I want to recognize Representative Amanda Collmore.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I really appreciate, Mr. Moran, you providing me with that information, and it actually eases some of my concern and our responsibility to the taxpayers. And so to know that much is done by one doctor, the number of local jobs and revenue that can come into a town is extreme. I do still wish we had a way to encourage these people to have all 100% of them stay in Maine, but I'm glad to see that having one will pay for 1 year of the program. So I really appreciate that information, and thank you very much.
And Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I see that he has his hand up, but I would just like to formally recognize the bill sponsor, Representative Zager, and see if he had any additional information to answer any of the questions that the committee had.
Mr. Zager, Representative Zager, welcome, and thank you for joining us. Have you been able to follow along the conversation that's been going on? Do you have any more to add?
Thank you very much, Senator Curry and Representative Roberts and the whole committee. I've been following along from the beginning, and of this work session. I really appreciate the deliberation and the thoughtfulness that the committee is affording the Doctors for Maine Future Scholarship proposal. I do have a couple of thoughts. I fully recognize the intent and desire to get 100% efficiency of anything. I used to be in the Navy and thought it was just remarkable that we, of all the chemical energy or nuclear energy that exists, we would get like 50–60% of propulsion of the energy of moving the ship forward. But compared to being dead in the water, that was a lot. And Maine was kind of dead in the water. Before this program, we were like 49th, I believe. Maybe Ms. Calder could correct me on that, but we were about 49th in the country in terms of training our own folks as doctors. And Mr. Moran has mentioned some of the huge economic drivers that having even just a single physician is for a community. And that's something that I think that every member of this committee can take back to your constituents and point out that this can be viewed as an economic driver, full stop. But it also can be viewed as something that improves people's lives. This saves lives. It extends life expectancy. In my testimony at the hearing, I mentioned the journal article, the huge study that came out in 2019 that found that even just 10 primary care doctors in a community in a catchment area of 100,000 people can significantly increase something as distal as composite as life expectancy. That means that there's a lot more people, not only are the lives saved, but also the quality of life. People are more able to work. And that is another metric of underlying the economic viability of having a healthy workforce. Obviously, we also, as a human interest, we want to make sure that people are there for their kids' graduations and births and all those other wonderful things that we want people to enjoy in their lives. The other thing I would mention that there was I also understand the questions about having an obligation, a commitment, and a fiduciary responsibility to pay something back. I don't know how many states around the country do that. It sounds like as Ms. Calder mentioned, this has been looked at, studied, and I would imagine that if it worked, if the overall outcomes of the number of folks that they were getting that were applying to the program were sustained even with that requirement, then I would imagine that would have caught on. It frankly hasn't, so if having that requirement means that somebody who might otherwise come back to Maine to go to medical school or remain in Maine, if they say a graduate at Orono, might say, you know what, I'm just not ready to take on that commitment. I'm 21 years old, 22 years old, I'm applying to medical school. And I don't, I can go somewhere, I can go someplace else. And that is the loss. That's where Maine loses. So to get 100% of 5 people who apply is actually not saving as many lives or driving as much economic activity as getting 50% of 20.
Thank you very much, Representative Zager. Ms. Calder, Mr. Zager referenced a stat that you had or referenced something. Did you want to add to that?
I thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for all of your time today. I wanted to mention just that medical education is unique in that our state, and this is not within the legislature's purview, but at the federal level, we have a limited number of residency slots within the state. So that also plays into the factor of where someone chooses to practice. And I know Representative Zager can speak to that as well. So I just wanted to mention that there are things outside of our control, outside of the legislature's control, as to why someone may want to practice here in Maine, but there isn't a residency slot available for them.
So I see what you're saying. So it could be that someone wants to be here but cannot.
Yes, that there are not perhaps enough residency slots available for those that would like to stay here in Maine and do their residency. And I'm sure Dan or Mr. Moran or Representative Zager can speak to that as well.
I want to recognize Representative Bernard.
Thanks very much, Senator Curry. I just wanted to say that over the last 5 minutes or so here, the questions that I had that would have been found out during tabling have really been answered. So I want to thank everyone who has been giving this information. That's exactly what I would have been looking for, and I feel a lot more comfortable about this bill.
Okay, thank you very much. Representative Geiger.
Thank you, Senator Curry. I would second Representative Bernard. I support this program and intended to support it from the beginning, but I have to admit, in a time of such economic crunch, the 53% of students staying and the rest leaving did bother me. However, Mr. Moran's testimony was so helpful to remind me, and I should know this. I did work for Health Reach, and I was the clinical director for all the federally qualified health centers for many years, that when you are lucky enough to recruit a provider to stay in a rural community, the amount of economic activity that brings and the change in the health of the residents is profound. We have a huge number of working class Mainers with chronic disease. And that is not fixed with emergency rooms. That is fixed by ongoing relationships with a primary care provider and excellent relationships and long-term care. So I want to thank both Representative Zager and Mr. Moran again, and Ms. Calder for just rounding out the picture for us that the economic returns are so much bigger than simply are they paying back a loan or not. So thank you very much.
Senator Searway.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate all the input that this discussion brought up, and I didn't realize we'd get this information this quickly, so that's a good thing. You know, I think that's the big reason why we wanted to table. But you know, and we, like I said before, we were all for this bill. I'm just wondering if there's any way of just keeping track of this I think this is for 2 years, right? This budget. Maybe at the end of this 2 years to see how successful it is in keeping doctors here. And I just think that it's important to see that we are getting the bulk of the doctors here. And but I'm certainly going to support the bill. I think that it is something that we need to do here. So thank you for the other three that came and supplied the information for us.
Thank you, Senator Searway. I want to check in with Representative Collmore. It feels like we've gone circling around. Do you feel like you've gotten your questions answered?
Yes, and I would support a motion for ought to pass.
Do you want to make that motion?
Sure. I would like to make the motion that this ought to pass, that LD 273 ought to pass.
Excellent. Is there a second?
Second.
I saw Representative Geiger. There's a second. Ms. Olson, will you call the roll?
No, but I believe Ms. Breton will.
Ms. Breton, would you call the roll?
Okay, is it an ought to pass, Rachel, or an ought to pass as amended with the fiscal note?
Apologies,
it is up
the ought to pass with as amended.
Yeah, it is up to the committee how they'd like to do that, but this, of course, will have a fiscal note, so it's best to, my recommendation would be to vote ought to pass as amended because there will be a fiscal note.
Yes, I do apologize for not including that. Ought to pass as amended with the fiscal note.
And Representative Geiger is okay with the second?
Yes.
Okay, so we have not to pass as amended by Representative Collmore, second by Representative Geiger. Representative Geiger.
Resoundingly yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews. I cannot hear Representative Andrews. Thank you, Representative Andrews. Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pepworth?
Yes.
Representative Pepworth, yes. Representative Collmore?
Yes.
Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Lucchini? Oops, guess we've lost him. Senator Searway?
Yes.
Senator Searway, yes. Representative Ducharme?
Yes.
Representative Ducharme, yes. Representative Austin? Still absent. Representative Hassenfuss?
Yes.
Representative Hassenfuss, yes. Representative Bailey?
Yes.
Representative Bailey, yes. Representative Bernard?
Yes.
Representative Bernard, yes. Representative Roberts?
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry?
Yes.
Senator Curry, yes. So it's 11 yes, no negative, and 2 absent.
Having voted on this, vast majority that are present in the affirmative, this work session is closed. I want to thank our guests, and we'll move on to work session on LD 292, an act to increase the minimum grant amount under the Maine State Grant. We'll look at our attendees. And go ahead, Ms. Olson.
Okay, thank you. Sorry if I screen shared too early.
That's all right. I was trying to see who was in the attendee list.
All right, LD 292, an act to increase the minimum grant amount under the Maine State Grant Program. This bill amends the law to specify that the minimum grant amount under the Maine State Grant Program within the Finance Authority of Maine may not be less than $2,500 if sufficient funds are appropriated for that purpose. The bill provides ongoing funds of $10 million per year beginning in fiscal year 21-22 to the Maine State Grant Program within the Finance Authority of Maine to increase the minimum grant award from $1,000 to $2,500. These are the individuals that we heard testimony in favor. A couple of the highlights here is that the lowest income students face significant financial burdens and that the grant money goes a long way in supporting young people in the state. High need students still face an average of $5,500 as a gap to cover costs at the University of Maine system schools. And that's after taking out federal loans. Students often have to choose between going to school or staying in school, or working more hours in order to make ends meet. The pandemic has made the need even greater for these students. Investments now pay off for individuals and Maine communities down the line. The increase is long overdue. The current grant has not kept pace with inflation. I'm sorry, that's my typo. This change to a $2,500 minimum is only if funds are available. Would not want to see an increase for some and others not receiving anything. The demand for need-based assistance is increasing and it's outpacing available aid. Critical to improving the individual well-being, meeting employer needs, and the state's overall economic growth. This bill represents the ERC takeaways of capitalizing on infrastructure and assets already in place and creating educational and training pathways for Maine's workforce. The Commission to Study College Affordability and Completion from the 126th legislature, which is in 2014, recommended an increase to $2,500. This bill is consistent with the first recommendation of the decennial review provided by FAME, and grant money turned dreams into reality. The primary information request from the public hearing was when was the increase, when was the last increase to the Maine State Grant Award, and that was increased from $1,000 to $1,500 in the academic year 2015-2016. That was provided by Mr. Norbert at FAME. I've also linked the decennial review. This was shared with the committee as a report, I think a couple of weeks ago. So I've included that here. This of course does have a fiscal note required. So the preliminary statement is here. The ongoing general fund appropriations, $10 million beginning in fiscal year 21-22 in order to achieve this increase. And then the statutory reference is included at the end of the bill analysis for your reference. I'll take any questions the committee may have at this time.
Ms. Olson, I'll start with a question.
Yes.
In the fiscal note, did they recognize the cost savings that happens from other state of Maine programs that would not be funding? I'm thinking of like there are programs in Department of Labor, there are programs in DHS, Parents of Scholars, the HOPE program, and then also Department of Labor has a competitive skills scholarship program that are all based on like funding up to a gap, and this would actually push some money out that they wouldn't be spending on those side. Does the fiscal note recognize savings in those programs also, or does it just kind of straightforward recognize the cost out?
At this point, we only have the preliminary fiscal note. It does not address that, and likely not, but that's something we could check with the fiscal office.
Okay, thanks. I'd appreciate that. It'd be interesting to know how that would impact these, whether they're workforce programs or health and human service programs, or the other places, vocational rehab.
I can do that.
Thank you. Other questions? Representative Collmore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question would actually probably be answered by Mr. Norbert instead of Ms. Olson.
Ms. Breton, can you bring in Mr. Norbert? Is he still with us? Yes, he is.
Hello.
Welcome back, Mr. Norbert.
Thank you.
Thank you for still being with us, Mr. Norbert. This program, as I said in the public hearing, is a fantastic program. I wholly support it. I am a recipient of it. And without it, I would not have been able to afford my books when I went to college. So it's incredible. One of the things that I think we keep hearing is that it should have been increased. The recommendation was to increase it to $2,500 in 2014. What is the recommended increase in 2021?
So we haven't done a calculation of the inflation and cost of living index. But we know we'd like it to be 2,500 at least. And that was discussed during this past summer and fall by the decennial stakeholders, all the financial aid offices. And so, you know, we didn't ratchet it up even more. We thought we'd start with this recommendation that still would be meaningful of 2,500. So there are ways to do that. I've done it before on the Google. You can find the calculators for cost of living increases and things like that. But I'm sorry, I don't have that answer.
No, that's okay. I was just curious because I'm thinking it took 2014 to now.
Right. Yeah, it could be 3,000.
And how much more will it be another 7, 8, 9 years down the road, depending on how long.
Right.
What I really like about the language in this bill too is that it's if the funding is available, because I would hate to see students not being able to be supported because it would be required to be that minimum. So I appreciate you including that and the sponsor for including that in the bill. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Ms. Olson, just to confirm, if the funding in a future year is not funded, if it's pulled out of the budget, then as the law is written, it would revert back to a minimum of 1,000. Is that if in any given year the fund isn't funded to that amount, let's say in 10 years or 5 years, then it would revert back to the minimum. They wouldn't be tied to a smaller total fund and a requirement to be at 2,500 per.
Yes, that is correct. The statutory minimum, if the funding wasn't there for 2,500, would remain at 1,000. And currently, and Mr. Norbert can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think currently the amount is 1,500, so above the statutory minimum because of funding.
I will tell you, I have a unique perspective on this, and maybe Representative Bernard does as well, working in the university system. I see the financial aid of students, and when I work with them, and this is a big deal. This the Pell Grant eligibility is, does not fully fund the classes and certainly doesn't get to the books. And so for a full-time student at a 2,500 per year, I think that works out to $250 extra per class. If they do 10 courses, your typical graduate in 4 years for a bachelor's degree or 2 years for an associate's. And that's often the gap that exactly that it fully covers the class, or it helps people get to their books, which is a whole other issue to deal with. So any other questions? Seeing no other questions, are we ready for a motion? Are we ready for a motion on this? It looks like we're ready for a motion. So Senator Searway.
Yes, make a motion not to pass.
Not to pass. Is there a second?
I'd like to second that.
She's jumping in right away. I appreciate that. Senator, thank you, Representative Collmore. There's
ought
to pass as amended with the fiscal note. Was that your recommendation, Ms. Olson? Thank you.
So ought to pass as amended, okay.
With the fiscal, yeah.
And I agree with that second.
Yeah, it's so awkward. So, but we're getting used to it. So is there any further discussion? see none. Are we ready for a vote? Looks like it. Let's call the vote. Ms. Breton, would you do the roll call?
So we have not to pass as amended, motion by Senator COA, seconded by Representative Collmore. Representative Geiger.
Yes.
Representative Geiger, yes. Representative Andrews. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Representative.
Yes.
Thank you, Representative Andrews. It was Representative Andrews, yes. Representative Pebworth.
Yes.
Representative Pebworth, yes. Representative Collmore.
Yes.
Representative Collmore, yes. Senator Lucchini, absent. Senator COA.
Yes.
Senator COA, yes. Representative Ducharme.
Yes.
Representative Ducharme, yes. Representative Austin. Representative Hassenfuss.
Yes.
Representative Hassenfuss, yes. Representative Bailey.
Yes.
Representative Bailey, yes. Representative Bernard.
Yes.
Representative Bernard, yes. Representative Roberts.
Yes.
Representative Roberts, yes. Senator Curry.
Yes.
Senator Curry, yes. That's 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative, 2 absent.
Having voted on our report out, we will I forgot what bill number this was. LD 292. We'll declare this work session closed. I want to remind everybody that the committee calendar is on everyone watching and committee members. The committee calendar is on our committee website. We will be working with our clerks and analysts to bring back the biennial budget. So please pay attention to that. We do have a deadline of reporting back to AFA by the 17th. And I see our analyst wishes to speak, but I'm going to recognize Representative Roberts first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Probably the same thing. I believe we have language review today, so nobody jump off yet.
Thank you very much. So so as process for those who are early on this, we've got bills that we have passed, but with amendment we need to actually see or hear the language. So Representative Ms. Olson.
Great. I'm jumping in first. I wasn't sure I'd be able to get to this today. So I'm going to jump in with one that hasn't been sent to the committee yet. I'm going to pop it in the chat box and then screen share it.
Okay.
And then Mr. Seneft has two additional ones.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so the one I'm bringing back to you was LD 11. And this was the professional engineers licensing. It was voted ought to pass as amended. The committee requested some language tightening to make the connection between the licensure by endorsement or comity with the 8 years more clear in its wording. I worked with David Jackson, who spoke with us and is part of the licensing board. And this is the language that we put together to make that connection more clear. And again, the committee voted to pass with this amended language that tightens it. So I'm just bringing it back in front of the committee to review. And this is my first language review. So if Mr. Senef would like to jump in to make sure that I'm not missing anything procedurally, I would welcome it.
Mr. Senef? Is he still here?
He is, he's muted. I think he's looking, there we go.
Sorry, the screen share trips me up a little bit. I think you're good, Rachel.
Okay. And I'm happy to answer questions about what's happening here, but so again, it was just to show here the linkage more clearly of this 8 years. So an applicant has to provide, has to have been a licensed professional engineer in good standing in another state, territory, or possession of the United States, District of Columbia, or any foreign country for a minimum of 8 years, and whose licensure qualifications are, in the opinion of the board, substantially equivalent to the requirements in this chapter, which is about licensing for professional engineers, and who has never been subject to disciplinary action as a professional engineer. They may be licensed as a professional engineer, and the board, giving due consideration to the protection of the public, may waive additional qualifications. And this was really addressing just those few individuals who were perhaps licensed in other states, and the licensure requirements didn't require you to take that first fundamentals exam, which most individuals take either in their last year of college or right after. So it really is addressing a small gap. It's really a select group of individuals, according to Mr. Jackson, who's just were licensed under slightly different qualifications, but they have been licensed as professional engineers for those 8 years, just in another place. And those licensing, original licensing qualifications for that professional engineer in that other state just don't quite align with what ours are now.
So as I recall, we had that substantive conversation and voted on that. And the question was, was it a semicolon tying two concepts together, and we wanted to spell those out a little better?
Yes, they
replacing
were.
this connecting.
That is correct.
Okay. And what do you need from us? Do you need a roll call, or can we wave hands? Can I say, does anyone oppose? Is anyone opposed to this language? I'm not seeing any opposition. So can I just say, yes, we've accepted it? Does that work?
And
yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
All right, well, thank you very much as well. And I'm going to pass off to Mr. Seneft, and unfortunately, I'm going to sign off. I have to run to another quick appointment. Thank you, everybody, today.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Olson. And Mr. Seneft, so good to see you.
I just have a couple very brief reviews here. So I'm going to share my screen. This one. All right, so you should see the committee amendment for LD7, an act to expand the membership of the board of directors of the Maine International Trade Center. Nothing should be a surprise here, I think. And I did run this amendment by Mr. Merritt to make sure that we were all on the same page in terms of what the committee voted on, and he said it looked okay to him. So big change, the biggest change here, I think, is the 11 versus the 10 new folks on the board. I also added in a little language at the top here, just to make it clear that the president was an additional person, because it was a little bit ambiguous before whether that president was included in the 11 or not, or in the 5. So just made it extra clear. Otherwise, everything looks the same as it did before. And summary at the bottom explains what we're doing here. And that's it.
And was this the effort to make sure that the final board had an odd number?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Is anyone opposed to this language? Does anyone need more time to review it?
All right.
Not seeing any hands. Hearing no opposition, chair will declare this as language accepted.
And I'm not sure. I want to see if I can flip. Can you see LD20 now?
With the LD20
highlights?
Yes.
Oh, good. I wasn't sure if it would let me flip that on the Adobe or not, but it did. So this is a committee amendment to LD20, which is an act to provide for the 2021 and 2022 allocations of the state ceiling on private activity bonds. So this is the bill that was revoted after FAME came back with an additional amendment. So this captures that change. I just highlighted the changes here. So you'll see kind of two ways that amendments are done. You'll see a kind of just a highlighted change if the changes are pretty small and can be easily indicated. But if we kind of went back and changed everything, we'll just say we're replacing the whole thing, and you won't see highlights. So that was how the first one was done, and this one is that highlighted version. So this just reflects the changes that were discussed to the ceiling on the activity bonds, as well as the unallocated ceiling. again, you'll see the summary changed at the bottom to reflect the committee's vote.
Does anyone have questions for Mr. Seneff? Is anyone opposed to this language? Seeing none, this language is accepted.
And then one more thing. So this is the first fiscal note you'll see. So when we do an amendment, we go back and get a new fiscal note on the amendment to make sure that if we've had a preliminary done, that nothing changed. Sometimes there will be no preliminary, so we'll get a fiscal note on whatever was voted on. If there's a minority, we'll also get a fiscal note on the minority report. So here, this is the fiscal note on the amendment, and the result is no net effect on general or moral obligation debt, which is as we expected, but I always bring it back anyway.
Can you remind me the definition of a moral obligation in this context?
I'm not sure that I can.
Okay, that's all right.
But
I'll go look it up.
I can get that from, you'll see this language again. So I will get an official definition from OFPR and I will send it out to the committee. So you have it in your inbox.
Excellent. Is there, so this needs approval as well. Does anyone have any questions, or is anyone in opposition? Seeing none, this is accepted.
Thank you. And that's all I've got for the committee.
Excellent. Excellent. So I think that wraps up everything we had scheduled for today. Please do watch the calendar as we look to reschedule and bring back off the table the biennial budget. I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Representative Collmore. All in favor? Have a great afternoon. It looks lovely outside.